Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins Collections, where today we're going to explore one of the most fascinating and valuable coins in the world of numismatics, the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny. If you're a coin collector, or just someone who enjoys learning about rare treasures, this video is for you. Stick with us until the end, because you'll want to hear just how much one of these pennies could be worth. The 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny holds a special place in the hearts of collectors. It was minted at a pivotal moment in U.S. history, the final year of World War II. The world was in the midst of incredible change, and the Lincoln Wheat Penny, which had been in circulation for decades, continued to be a symbol of American resilience and hope. But don't be fooled, just because this coin was produced in large numbers doesn't mean it's just another penny. There's more to the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny than meets the EYE.SO. Let's dive right into the details. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this penny featured a bust of the 16th president on the front, and a pair of wheat stalks on the reverse. The wheat stalks represented America's agricultural heritage, symbolizing the country's strong ties to farming and hard work. It became one of the most recognizable coins in U.S. history. By 1945, the design had been circulating for over 30 years. During this time, the world had experienced two world wars, the Great Depression, and a profound shift in the way people viewed money. The Lincoln Wheat Penny, though simple in design, became a constant presence in the pockets of millions of Americans. Yet, what makes the 1945 coin particularly interesting is that it marks the tail end of the series, just before it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959. But what really sets the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny apart from the rest? It's all about rarity, condition, and a bit of luck. While millions of these pennies were minted in 1945, only a small percentage of them remain in excellent condition today. Coins that have been well preserved, without significant wear or damage, are what collectors crave. A penny that has survived the years without scratches, dings, or discoloration can fetch a pretty penny itself. Now, let's talk about the different factors that can make the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny so valuable. For starters, the 1945 coin was struck in large quantities, and for the most part, they were used in everyday transactions. This means that most of the coins you'll find are going to be in worn or circulated condition. The trick, though, is to find one that has been carefully kept, uncirculated, or in mint condition. For collectors, this is where the magic happens. The value of a 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny can vary greatly depending on its condition. Coins that are uncirculated or have a high grade can be worth more, sometimes even reaching into the hundreds of dollars. But, as with any rare coin, the condition is the key. For example, a coin that's graded as MS 65 or higher is considered to be in near-perfect condition, which dramatically increases its value. The more pristine the coin, the more desirable it is to collectors, and as a result, its market value can skyrocket. But the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny isn't just valuable because of its condition. There are certain unique varieties and rare features that can make this coin even more special. One of the most exciting discoveries for collectors is finding a coin that was struck with a minting error, which can significantly increase its value. A double die, for example, is a minting error where the design is imprinted more than once, causing the details to appear blurry or doubled. A double die error on a 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny can turn a relatively common coin into an incredibly valuable one. Another feature that can make a 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny valuable is the presence of a unique mint mark. For example, coins struck in different mints, like Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, will have different mint marks, which can make them more desirable to collectors. The Denver minted 1945 penny, in particular, is one that has caught the attention of coin collectors. Depending on the rarity of the mint mark and the coin's condition, some of these pennies can fetch quite a price. You might be wondering, how much could a 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny actually be worth? Well, the answer depends on a few different factors, most importantly, the coin's condition and rarity. While most 1945 pennies are worth only a few cents, there are a select few that have been well preserved or possess rare features that make them extremely valuable. Now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny, in exceptional condition or with rare minting errors, can be worth a staggering $51,000. That's right, $51,000 for a single penny. Of course, this kind of value is reserved for coins that are in perfect condition or have very rare and unique features, but it's a reminder of how much hidden treasure could be sitting in your collection, or even in your loose change. So, if you're ever flipping through your coin jar or scanning through your pocket change, don't just let that 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny slip through your fingers. Take a closer look, and if you've got one in pristine condition or one with a unique mint error, you might just be holding on to a small fortune. Today, we have an exciting topic that any coin enthusiast or collector will appreciate: the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny. This particular coin holds a special place in American numismatic history, and trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand just how valuable and intriguing this penny can be. Make sure to stick around until the end because we've got a jaw-dropping value reveal that will blow your mind. Let's set the stage. The Lincoln Wheat Penny, first introduced in 1909, is one of the longest-running and most beloved coin designs in American history. Created to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the Lincoln Wheat Penny was an instant classic. On the obverse of the coin, you'll see Lincoln's iconic bust, designed by Victor David Brenner. And on the reverse side, two wheat stalks flank the words, 1 cent, a simple yet meaningful design that symbolizes the importance of agriculture to America's economy. Now, let's focus on the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny specifically. 1944 was a pivotal year in history, particularly for the United States, as it marked the height of World War II. The year before, in 1943, the U.S. government had switched the composition of the penny from copper to zinc-coated steel due to wartime shortages. But in 1944, copper was once again available, and the minting process returned to its original copper composition, making the 1944 penny an important part of the transition back to normalcy after the war. But what truly makes the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny so fascinating is its rarity, its historical significance, and the potential for great value that it holds. While these pennies were minted in large quantities, over 1 billion 1944 pennies were made, they are still highly sought after by collectors today, especially when you find one in pristine condition or with a rare feature. Like many other coins, the condition of the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny plays a major role in its value. Most of the 1944 pennies that you'll come across are likely to be worn from years of circulation, which lowers their overall worth. But if you're lucky enough to find a coin that has been preserved in excellent, uncirculated condition, you could be holding a little piece of treasure. The real excitement for collectors comes when you discover one of the rarer versions of the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny. One such variation is the 1944 steel penny. This is one of the most coveted mistakes in coin collecting. As I mentioned earlier, the U.S. Mint switched from copper to zinc-coated steel pennies in 1943, but due to a minting error, a small number of 1944 pennies were mistakenly struck using leftover steel blanks from 1943. These 1944 steel pennies are incredibly rare, and if you happen to find one, it can be worth an absolute fortune. So, what's the value of a typical 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny? Well, it can vary greatly depending on its condition. In general, most 1944 pennies in average circulated condition are worth only a few cents. However, coins in pristine or uncirculated condition, especially if they come from certain mint marks, can be worth a lot more. But, what if I told you that there's a chance to make a significant profit off one of these pennies? Let's talk about the rarest, most valuable examples. For the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny, especially those that are uncirculated or have been graded as MS 65 or higher, they can reach some impressive values. If you happen to find one that's been certified in top-notch condition, it could potentially be worth hundreds of dollars. But the real excitement comes from the rare errors or unique features. The 1944 steel penny is, without a doubt, one of the most coveted errors in U.S. coinage. Because it was struck with leftover steel from the previous year, it's not just a historical anomaly, it's a true numismatic treasure. These steel pennies are incredibly rare, with only a few dozen known to exist. If you find one of these, it could dramatically increase the value of your collection. The price for a 1944 steel penny, depending on its condition, can reach tens of thousands of dollars. That's right, tens of thousands of dollars for a single penny, but even if you don't find a 1944 steel penny, there's still a chance to find a valuable 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny. Coins with minting errors, such as double dies or off-center strikes, can also be worth a significant amount of money. These errors are usually much rarer than regular coins and are highly desirable for serious collectors. So, you might be wondering, just how much could a 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny be worth? While most of these coins are relatively inexpensive, when you get into the realm of high-quality, rare variants, the price can jump into the thousands of dollars. In fact, if you manage to find a 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny with the right features, minting errors, or simply one that's in uncirculated condition, it could be worth an incredible $49,000. Yes, you heard that right, $49,000 for a single penny. It's incredible, isn't it? A small coin that's been circulating for decades could potentially turn into a collector's dream. If you've got a 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny sitting in your collection or change jar, now is the time to take a closer look. You never know, you could be holding a rare treasure. So, there you have it, everything you need to know about the 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny and its incredible value. Whether you're an experienced coin collector or just getting started, always remember that coins like the 1944 Lincoln Wheat penny are more than just currency, they're pieces of history, and sometimes, they're worth much more than you ever imagined. Today, we're talking about one of the most intriguing and valuable coins from the Lincoln Wheat Penny series, the 1949 Lincoln Wheat Penny. This coin might look like just another piece of pocket change, but when you dig deeper, you'll find that it's a part of a much bigger story, and its value could surprise you. Stick around until the end, because we've got a jaw-dropping value reveal that will make you take a closer look at that penny sitting in your collection or change jar. Let's set the scene first. The Lincoln Wheat penny was introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin features an image of Lincoln on the front and a pair of wheat stalks on the reverse, representing America's agricultural roots. This simple yet striking design became one of the most iconic and beloved coins in American history. But by 1949, the country had undergone some major changes. World War II had ended, the economy was recovering, and the minting process had evolved. The 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny is one of the later years in the series, just a decade before the design was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But even though the 1949 penny was produced in large quantities, it still holds some significant appeal for collectors today, especially when you find one that's in great condition or has a unique feature. So, why is the 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny worth more than just 1 cent? Well, like many coins, it all comes down to rarity, condition, and special characteristics. The 1949 penny was produced in relatively large numbers, with millions of them minted, so finding one in excellent, uncirculated condition is pretty rare. Most of the 1949 pennies that were circulated show signs of wear, such as scratches, discoloration, or other signs of age. But if you happen to come across one that's been carefully preserved, one that looks almost as fresh as the day it was minted, you could have something that's worth far more than just its face value. But here's where it gets interesting. The 1949 Lincoln Wheat penny has a few special features that can make it more desirable to collectors. First, let's talk about the mint marks. In 1949, pennies were struck in 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The coin struck in Philadelphia doesn't have a mint mark, while those from Denver are marked with a D, and those from San Francisco are marked with an S. While the minting process in 1949 was relatively routine, the coins with certain mint marks, especially the ones with lower mintages, tend to be more valuable to collectors. For example, the 1949 S penny is particularly sought after due to its lower mintage compared to the other 2 varieties, but that's not all. Like many coins from this era, some 1949 Lincoln Wheat Pennies have unique characteristics, such as slight variations in the design or minor errors from the minting process. The most common errors collectors look for are things like double dies, where the design is struck more than once, causing the features to appear doubled. These error coins can make a huge difference in the value of a coin. If you happen to find a 1949 penny with a noticeable minting error, you could be holding onto a rare and valuable piece. The value of the 1949 Lincoln Wheat Penny can also vary based on its condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, uncirculated coin. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin becomes. If you're lucky enough to find a 1949 penny that's been graded as MS 65 or higher, you could be looking at a significant increase in value. But what about the rarest of the rare? What if you found a 1949 Lincoln Wheat Penny in flawless condition, or one with a minting error or an unusual characteristic? Well, then you could be sitting on a small fortune. So, how much is the 1949 Lincoln Wheat Penny really worth? As I mentioned earlier, the value depends on a few key factors: its condition, the mint mark, and whether or not it has any special features like errors or unique characteristics. A typical 1949 penny in average condition may only be worth a few cents, but if you find one in near-perfect or uncirculated condition, it could fetch you a nice price in the market, and if you're holding one of the rare 1949 Lincoln Wheat Pennies with a special feature, such as a unique minting error, it could be worth far more. Now, here's the exciting part: if you happen to find a top-grade 1949 Lincoln Wheat Penny, especially one with a rare feature or minting error, it could be worth an incredible $46,000, yes, you heard that right. $46,000 for a single penny. It's mind-blowing, isn't it? The 1949 Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of those coins that proves just how valuable certain pieces of history can be. Even though it might seem like just another penny, the right one, in the right condition, can be worth far more than you ever expected. If you have any 1949 Lincoln Wheat Pennies in your collection or happen to come across one while searching through your spare change, be sure to take a closer look. With a little research and a careful eye, you might just discover a hidden gem worth thousands of dollars. Today, we're diving into a fascinating topic that might just have you taking a second look at your coin collection: the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny. Now, when you hear the word penny, you probably think of something that's not worth much. But here's the thing: certain pennies, like the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny, can be worth far more than their face value. By the end of this video, you'll understand just why this seemingly simple coin can be worth so much and how you could potentially have a small fortune sitting in your collection without even knowing it. Let's rewind the clock a bit. The Lincoln Wheat Penny has been around for over a century, introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Its iconic design, created by Victor David Brenner, features Lincoln's profile on the obverse and two stalks of wheat on the reverse. The design represents the strength and agricultural backbone of the United States, making it one of the most beloved coins in American history. But by the time we get to 1954, things had changed. The world was moving forward, and so was American currency. The 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny wasn't quite as significant in terms of major historical events as some earlier years, but it still carries a lot of weight in the world of coin collecting. So why are we talking about it today? Well, it's all about rarity, condition, and a few surprising features that could make a 1954 penny incredibly valuable. In 1954, the U.S. Mint produced more than 1 billion Lincoln Wheat Pennies. So, you might think, how could a coin that's this common be worth anything at all? And that's a fair question. The key to understanding the value of a coin like the 1954 penny is in its condition and the rarity of certain versions. You see, most of the 1954 pennies you'll find out there are likely to have been in circulation for decades. This means they've seen a lot of wear and tear. Circulated coins often show scratches, discoloration, and even dents. But here's the kicker: coins that have been well preserved, that are in excellent or near perfect condition, can have a much higher value. And when we say excellent condition, we're talking about coins that have sharp details, bright surfaces, and very little sign of wear, basically, coins that look like they just came out of the mint. Now, what really makes the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny so interesting is that it's one of those coins where subtle differences can drastically change its value. The year 1954 saw coins minted in 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each minting facility put a different mint mark on the coin, and these differences can impact the coin's rarity and value. Coins struck in Philadelphia don't have a mint mark, while coins from Denver are marked with a D, and those from San Francisco carry an S. The 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny, in particular, is one that's sought after by collectors. While it's not as rare as some of the coins from earlier years, the San Francisco Mint did produce a smaller number of 1954 pennies, and those are the ones that tend to catch a collector's eye. But just having a 1954 penny in decent condition doesn't necessarily mean it's worth a lot of money. The real value comes when the coin is in exceptional, uncirculated condition. If you can find a 1954 penny that's graded as MS 65 or higher, it could be worth significantly more. Coins like this are rare because most of them have been used in everyday transactions and have experienced some level of wear. Finding one that's been preserved in pristine condition is what makes it truly valuable in the eyes of collectors. Now, let's get to the part that you've all been waiting for: just how much can a 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny be worth? The answer really depends on a few factors, such as the condition of the coin and its mint mark. Most of the 1954 pennies you come across will be worth only a few cents, especially if they're circulated. However, if you're lucky enough to find one in excellent or uncirculated condition, you could be looking at something worth far more. But here's where things get even more exciting. Occasionally, certain 1954 Lincoln Wheat Pennies will have rare features or minting errors that make them even more valuable. For example, there are known instances of double die errors, where the design is struck twice, creating a blurry or doubled image. Error coins like these are highly sought after and can fetch a premium price from collectors who are eager to add rare, one-of-a-kind pieces to their collections. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for. If you happen to have a 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny in exceptional condition, or if you've stumbled upon one with a rare minting error, the value could skyrocket. In fact, a 1954 penny with the right features could be worth an astonishing $44,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $44,000 for a single penny. This just goes to show that something as humble as a penny can hold a significant amount of value if it's in the right condition or if it possesses rare characteristics. So, if you're looking through your coin collection or browsing through a jar of old change, be sure to take a second look at any 1954 Lincoln Wheat Pennies you come across. You might just have a valuable treasure on your hands. To wrap things up, the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny is a prime example of how a seemingly ordinary coin can turn into a collector's dream. Whether it's a coin in perfect condition or one with a rare error, it's always worth doing a bit of research to see just how much your pennies could be worth. You never know what hidden gems might be waiting for you. Today's video is going to absolutely thrill you. We're diving deep into one of the most interesting and sought-after coins in American numismatics, the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny. Now, you might be thinking, it's just a penny, right? How much could it really be worth? Well, let me tell you, this small piece of history can be worth a whole lot more than you might expect. By the end of this video, you'll be amazed at what makes the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny so valuable, and who knows? You could be sitting on a hidden treasure without even knowing it. First, let's take a quick look at the history behind the Lincoln Wheat Penny, which was first introduced in 1909. The design, created by Victor David Brenner, features Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse, while the reverse showcases 2 stalks of wheat. The wheat design was meant to represent the agricultural roots of the United States, and it quickly became one of the most iconic coin designs in the country's history. Fast forward to 1950. The country had gone through World War II, and the economy was in the process of recovering. The U.S. Mint was still producing these pennies in huge numbers, but that didn't stop certain versions of the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny from becoming incredibly rare, and incredibly valuable. It's in these later years of the Wheat Penny series, specifically the 1950 coin, where things start to get a little more exciting for collectors. Now, you might think that the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny is just another typical penny that was produced in large quantities, and in many ways, you'd be right. But, like any coin, the value of the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny depends on several key factors: its condition, its mint mark, and any rare variations that might be present. So, let's break this down and get into the nitty-gritty of what makes the 1950 penny worth so much to collectors today. The first thing to consider when determining the value of the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny is its condition. Most of the 1950 pennies you'll find are in average or poor condition due to years of circulation. These coins will typically have signs of wear, discoloration, and even scratches. But here's where things get interesting. If you happen to find a 1950 penny that's been kept in pristine condition, then you're looking at a coin that's worth far more than its face value. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, uncirculated coin. If your 1950 penny is graded as MS 65 or higher, that can increase its value significantly. Coins in this condition can be much more desirable to collectors because they are rarer and harder to come by. Most of the 1950 pennies were used for transactions and are worn from years of handling, so finding one that's in mint condition can be a true treasure, but the condition is just one part of the equation. Another important factor when determining the value of the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny is its mint mark. In 1950, pennies were struck in 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. You can easily identify the mint mark on the obverse side of the coin, just below Lincoln's shoulder. If the coin was struck in Philadelphia, it won't have a mint mark. Denver coins will have a D mint mark, and San Francisco coins will carry an S. When it comes to the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny, the S mint mark coins from San Francisco tend to be the most valuable. This is due to the fact that the San Francisco Mint produced fewer coins in 1950 compared to the other mints, making the 1950 S penny more desirable to collectors. But even within this category, there are variations in value depending on the coin's condition and any unique features. Now, we get to the most exciting part: the potential for error coins. While most 1950 Lincoln Wheat pennies were struck correctly, there were some that left the mint with rare errors. One such error that makes the 1950 penny particularly interesting is the double die variety. A double die error occurs when the coin is struck more than once, causing the design to appear doubled or blurry. These types of errors are relatively rare, and collectors go crazy for them because they are one-of-a-kind pieces. If you happen to come across a 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a double die error, that coin could be worth significantly more than a regular 1950 penny. So, how much could a 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny really be worth? Well, the value of the coin can vary depending on the condition, the mint mark, and whether or not it has any errors. Most 1950 pennies in average circulated condition are worth only a few cents, but when you start looking at coins in uncirculated or near perfect condition, the value begins to climb. For a 1950 S penny in excellent condition, you could see it valued at several $100s, but the real excitement comes when you find one of these rare error coins or minting anomalies. And here's the kicker: if you've got a 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny that's in outstanding condition, or if it's one of the rare double die varieties, it could be worth an incredible $42,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $42,000 for a single penny. That's the kind of value a rare 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny can command, depending on its condition and any unique features it might have. So, if you have a 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny in your collection or happen to come across one while sifting through your change, take a closer look. It might just be worth more than you ever imagined, and there you have it, the fascinating story of the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny and how it went from being a common coin to one of the most desirable and valuable pennies in the world. Whether you're an experienced coin collector or just getting started, always remember that every coin has a story, and some of them are worth much more than you might think. Thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare coins and want to learn more, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another exciting discovery. Until next time, happy collecting and keep your eyes peeled for those hidden treasures.